everyone, I'm Larissa Russell of Creative You, and I'm your host of the Creative Soul Healing Podcast. Here's where we talk about the connection between creativity and healing by interviewing amazing creatives, spectacular healers, and inspiring people who have used creativity in their healing. What does it mean to be creative? What is creativity? You don't have to write a best-selling book or paint a masterpiece or even play in a rock band. Creativity is in everything that we do, in the ways we think, in the way we run a business. In our everyday lives, we are creative all the time. Let's talk about how we are creative and how creativity helps us heal mentally, physically, and emotionally, right now on the Creative Soul Healing Podcast. Hi everyone, Larissa Russell of Creative You Healing. Welcome to the Creative Soul Healing Podcast. Today I have with me Malli Mercier. Jess was part of our second annual Loving, Healing, Creating Summit we ran in February and shared with us how to express yourself in a personal and creative art journal. You can still get access to the summit at www.creativeviewhealing.com. So Jess is a longtime creative soul, a mixed media artist, as well as a graphic designer. Her goal is to inspire others to be free in their creative process. When creating an art journal, the end result isn't the most important part. It is the time that we take to make art and the telling of our stories that should take precedent. It is a special place to express emotions, fears, joys, and things that we love. It is an opportunity to document your life, a safe haven for your inner thoughts and feelings. And the time that we take to free ourselves in the creation process can be very powerful. Art journaling has been such an important part of her life as a woman and as an artist simultaneously, and she loves to share things that she's learned in her own journey through this medium. So welcome, Jess.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited. I love art journaling. I've just more recently started it, like in the last year or so. I did dabble in it earlier in my life, but more recently, like diligently. So yeah, it is a great place to express and just work through things and try different techniques and just so many things. And I'm constantly saying to my followers as well, it's like, it's not about the finished product. It's about that process you go through, right? So important.
Yes. So important, absolutely.
Yeah. So can you share some of your story and the path that's brought you here?
Yes, absolutely. So I, as a young adult, I was always working on any sort of art that I could get my hands on. They created new art classes for me in high school because I had taken all of the art classes, and so they knew, they were like, okay, Jess isn't going to be some sort of scientist or biologist or an athlete. Of course not. So they let me do like independent studies and all sorts of things. And I just knew that was going to be my path. And I was always really into collage, which was an interesting medium because not a lot of people around me were doing it. And forward to college, I went to Mass College of Art in Boston. I studied painting, mixed media. And then I had some time in my life where I doubted myself, how am I going to make a living at this? And I'm an art school dropout. I ended up moving on to, I was in the restaurant business for a really long time. I was a pastry chef. I did custom cakes. I just did all sorts of other things, went off on this completely different path, got married, had my beautiful children. And in the past couple of years, I met this really amazing woman who ran a program for watercolor focused on self-care. And we connected and everything just came back. All of this, I'm an artist, needing to express things. All of a sudden I built a studio and surrounded myself with paint and paper and all sorts of beautiful things. And it all just came rushing back. And I had a roundabout way of doing it, but I came back to this mixed media that I had always loved, found the world of art journaling. And now here I am, back where I started all that long time ago. So
Mhm.
It's
It's
important.
funny how that happens. And I think it happens more for women. Um, I can't speak for men, I guess, but I would talk to so many women who, were super creative, and then they just reality hits or parenting hits or whatever. And it's just like, yeah, I don't have time for that, or it's not feasible, or you can't make a living, which is a complete lie. I know lots of people who
Mhm.
make a living at it. So it's, there are ways to do that. So
Yes.
it's so true that so I'm glad you've come full circle. And the amazing woman that you speak of, she's also part of our summit. So
She
that's
is.
exciting. Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. Our business is twofold. We have watercolor and mixed media, and she's definitely more of the expert in watercolor, and I'm the art journalist. So bringing us together, we're sort of right now trying to meld ourselves together, and we're sort of forming this third artist between the two of us is emerging. But we both
Mhm.
thought that we like to represent ourselves, as well as the business.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So then what does healing with creativity mean to you?
So some people do yoga, some people meditate, some people run, some people cook. For me, the there's this beautiful little nugget of place that I call the zone that any artist will understand, is my point of clarity and the place that I try to get to when I'm making art. And it's the place that heals my anxiety, saves me from worry, makes me calmer when I'm angry. It's not necessarily, and that's why I love art journaling so much, because it's not about that end process. I don't have the pressure on me while I'm creating, to create something that's so beautiful that somebody's going to purchase it. For me, it's about the process, the layers, the getting your hands dirty, whatever music you choose to put on in the background. It's creating this safe space where you're able to emote all of the things and get them all out of yourself and put them down on a page. And and it's also just a collection of your journey as you go
Mhm.
along. And some people keep them, some people burn them when they're finished. Some people do what I mean, do what you would do, whatever you want with it. But it's also, I think it's great to keep them, and then you can go back and be like, oh wow, that was a year of my life.
Mhm.
Where was I? What helped me get through? Um, and yes, so the process of creation and getting into that moment where you're centered and you feel clear in your head because you let your hands work everything out.
Mhm. Absolutely. More recently, I've actually started journaling in my art journal, and I use water soluble markers. And then
Mm,
I use water, use that, and now I have a base for art journaling, right? And it's just
yes.
that double way of expressing for me, right? Then I can wash away what I wrote, and then now I have color base, and I go from there. And I found that really effective for me as well. I really like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I do
I
my
do.
morning journaling. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I do a similar scribbling technique where I'm writing, but it's nobody else in the entire universe would have any idea what it says,
Mhm.
but the words and the expressions are still there. And I use that as a base layer.
Mhm.
Sometimes I completely paint over it. Sometimes I use stencils over it and really let some of it peek through. But yeah, absolutely. Writing it down first and then using that as a base for your artistic journal it can be a really powerful experience.
Yeah, yeah, I really enjoy it. I really do. So then what inspires you in the work you do?
Uh, I think that I think that for me, I think sharing my journey with other people, and not necessarily the way that I teach is let's do this together. I'm not, I don't come in and like, oh, this is how you do it. And this is how you like, I'm not necessarily about the techniques. I'm more about the process. And I'm on this journey with you. I'm going to show you what I do. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks. And then I want you to take it and do just be free and do completely whatever you want with it. And I think that it's sort of a leading by example way of, that's how I, connect with my members, and the people that I hope to inspire, because nobody's art is the same. So when you're teaching art, it's an interesting thing to, oh, I'm going to teach you how to do this. And then it's like teaching somebody to fish. I want to teach you to get out there and be free and open and express yourself. And then I want you to run with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's so important. And people are so fearful. And this is what I found, that because I teach very much the same way, right? And I like people to go through the process themselves, and then it's like, okay, what do you want to create? What do you want to create with this? And so a lot of people are really uncomfortable with that, right? They want to be told step by step how to make a finished product. And that's not what I'm about. So yeah, you find a different group of people come and follow you than the ones who want the specific one, one step after another. There's lots of artists that'll show you that. So, if that's what you're looking for, I'm not it. You're not it. So
no.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of talk about creatives and healers and monetizing what they do. And what are your thoughts on that?
So I think that as an artist and as a person that quit doing art because I couldn't make a living off of it, is what I was telling myself. That's really sad. I've been given a gift that I feel as if I should share with people. But the reality of it is I have to make a living because I have a family. And I think that somebody who is a doctor, that's a gift that they've been given. And yes, they've worked really hard at it, as artists also do. But nobody looks at them and says, oh, well, you're a doctor, you shouldn't monetize what you're doing. And I mean, people go to school for years to be artists. People work really hard on their craft and their techniques and their talents. And I hate the idea of we're not capitalizing it. We're just trying to do what we can do to be happy and share our gifts with the world, and also be humans and live.
Yeah, it's so true. And, I've had this conversation with a number of people now. And this question came from my followers. So I put out, when I was changing up this year's questions, I was like, what are some of the things you want to know? And this is one of the questions. So I was like, well, that's interesting. But as I talk to people, most people who are in the industry absolutely believe, yes, we need to monetize this because we need to make a living. But when you talk to people who are starting out, or who, like I talk to a lot of early artists who are just putting their work out there and they're charging so little for their work, or healers who do like, let's say Reiki or even massage therapy, right? And they're charging so little. And it's like, but you've done, learning and training and all of those things. And if people don't appreciate it, right? Because that's what it comes down to. They don't value it. And we don't value ourselves if we don't charge for it. So I think it's really important. But yeah, it's an interesting question. And I found it really interesting that a follower had voiced that. So I don't know if they're a budding artist or, or a healer or whatever it is, but yes, monetizing is important.
Yes.
Final answer.
Final answer, 100%. I mean, it's something I think I had a slight discomfort answering that because, well, yeah, in a perfect world, we could all share all of our gifts with everybody and money wouldn't be an option. But guess what? It is. And we have to make a living. And my mother's grandfather, my great grandfather, used to say, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And I think that that's really important. And being able to do what I love and also have it, help support my
Pay your
family
bills.
and pay my bills is a really important and wonderful thing. And I think we should all support people in doing the thing that sets their soul on fire. And then more people will be happy doing what they do instead of just what they have to do, to get by. So
Absolutely.
put aces in their places. You know what I mean?
Yes. It's so true. So true. So, what is the creative healing modality you use the most for yourself? I think I know the answer, but
art journaling. I mean, I do all sorts of other things too. Along with my graphic design business, my simultaneous, I do both. I make shirts and craft. I love to craft. Not all of my creating is super intense. I like to make signs and fun shirts, and I find myself just doing crafty things. I definitely make a lot of art with my girls. But yeah, I mean, I think my major form of release and everyday processes to a better self is the journaling and the art journaling.
yeah, absolutely. So, what are you the proudest of in your life?
So I think the thing that I'm proudest of is having no regrets and being able to, and it's taken a while for me to get into this, but not beating myself up when I make a mistake. And just knowing that, and knowing and trusting the path that I'm on, I think is my greatest accomplishment, to be able to stumble and look back on it and know and learn and not do it again. And I think that's probably one of my greatest accomplishments, is just being able to look into myself and trust the path that I'm on and go into it headstrong.
Yeah, I agree with that so much. I think, when we regret things, it means that we didn't learn the lesson from it, is what I feel. So, yeah, it's really important, I think, for us to fail forward, because if you're not failing, you're not growing. You just remain the status quo. So I think failure is a big part of life, and then learning from that so that you can move forward and experience new things. And yeah, that's really great. So if you could change one aspect of our society through your work, what would it be?
So I think that this is really important, especially since I've found myself in a lot of social media places with other artists and art journalists. And I found myself doing this thing where I'm like, oh, well, their art journal is way better than mine. Oh my gosh, they're way more talented than me. And I have to stop myself. And that is so toxic to finding my own voice. And I think that if I can inspire people, one of the things that I really have found is, I like to say, if you make art, then you're an artist, because there have been so many years wasted in my life on, oh, I'm just crafty, or I'm a maker, or, which is a great word. I love that word. But I failed to call myself an artist for so long because I didn't think that I was talented enough. And I think that in society, we compare far too much. and we all do it. And we think that everything needs to be perfect. And I have a quote on my wall. I'm looking at it right now. Beautiful things are never perfect. It's in the imperfections that the beauty lies. And I think that if society can understand that things don't have to be perfect, that the beauty lies in the imperfection, and to stop comparing ourselves to everybody else. If I can influence even one person to do that with their art, then I'm successful.
Yeah, absolutely. So then that answers my next question then, is about imposter syndrome in your work. And
I mean, I live in imposter syndrome. I think we all do. I think especially if we're trying to build an artistic business, what business do I have, making money off of my art? It's just lies that we tell ourselves. Why is somebody else out there doing it and me sitting here questioning myself? Because they chose to do it. And that's the only difference. And confidence, you're going to have days where you're super confident, and then, other days where you're just going to question everything. And I think going back to trusting the path, learning from mistakes, and moving on, I think is just what we all have to do. I think we all have imposter syndrome sometimes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So then I'm going to guess that the quote that you just stated is the one that you live by.
Oh, well, that's one of them. My other one is Miss Louise Hay is one of my all-time favorite. And the quote is, "Everything I need is already within me."
I love that one. Yes. Yeah. So true.
That just rings true. It just rings true on so many different levels. I just love how knowing that the strength is inside of us. Everything I need, that strength it's already within me. We just have to trust it and let it out. So yeah,
I think that trusting of self is so important. That's something that most women seem to struggle with. So yes, it is within. So is there anything else you'd like to add that we maybe haven't discussed today?
No, this has been really great. I think that I think we covered so many of the things that I really would have loved to talk about. And I think that we understand each other very much because we do such similar things. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much. This was really great. It was so wonderful to connect with you. And I hope that I connected with somebody out there listening as well and inspired them in their own work.
Absolutely. So to our listeners, we'll see you again next week. And in the meantime, I wish for you amazingly creative days. Do you know about the courses and programs that we offer at Creative View? Meditation and journaling in our Morning Calm program. Step into Your Authentic Self is a program to help you heal from past traumas and start believing in yourself so you can be your healthiest, happiest you. We even have a Healing with Creativity monthly membership where you get healing projects twice a month, plus so much more. Keep watch as we're always adding more classes and programs. Plus we offer free challenges, access to summits and retreats, as we love sharing. Click below to see what we have happening now.